First off, I want to thank you all for having me, and I want to thank Polly. I think he's doing an incredible job. What a year to become chair, right? Special referendum. So I just wanted to say I see you, and I want to thank you for everything that you've been doing. Okay, so as she mentioned, I'm one of the, I don't know, what is we up to, 4,000 CD1 candidates at this point. And usually people, when they see me, they generally have two quick questions. How do you pronounce his last name? Which is just Cywinski. And then two, why does a guy that looks like he's 12 years old running for Congress? It always gets a laugh, I know. That used to hurt my feelings, but now I just feel better about my skincare routine, I guess. I'm actually almost 36 years old, and I've been working in some form of politics since 2008 when I was an intern for the Obama for America campaign. Yeah. Oh man, remember those days? So I thought politics back then was the way to do it. He said, we are the ones who we were waiting for, and I believed him, but I couldn't afford to go to school right away. So instead I worked on Democratic campaigns, including 2010 for a candidate named Crystal Ball, who was trying to take out Rob Whitman back then. It was 2010, you know how that worked out. And then I worked on a slew of other campaigns where I saw a lot of elected officials campaign very hard, but then they governed very soft. And after that, I went back to school, but I had to work 2 full-time jobs in order to do it, just to pay for books and make a dent in tuition. I went to community college first, and then I got to transfer to undergraduate. And even though I worked 2 full-time jobs that time, I still came out with $65,000 worth of debt. I have paid $40,000 toward that debt. I still owe $50,000. I don't know if student loans are a scam, but I can tell you that the interest is. And then during that time, I also interned for Senator Tim Kaine in the Roanoke office. Yeah, oh, we were friends, that's great. I had to work in constituent services in the Roanoke office, and we took care of veterans there. We did constituent services, and I had to help them navigate the VA structures. But I got calls about 2 things, Agent Orange and burn pits. And at that point in 2014, those weren't necessarily eligible for coverage. And I got that call so many times that I had a piece of paper that was taped onto my desk that had manicured talking points about what we couldn't do for them. And I remember going to visit the Capitol, and I remember seeing other people's offices, and I remember that when a veteran came in, they got 10 minutes with an intern, but in other cases, corporate lobbyists got FaceTime with the people who make the decisions. I didn't like that. I didn't like what I saw. So when I finally get out of college with an undergraduate degree in political science and behavioral economics, I became a community organizer. And I've been one ever since. First starting for the National Education Association, trying to help our teachers navigate some political pathways so they would come out of school with less debt than I have. And then I worked in economic fairness, making sure people who work hard, work with their hands for a living, get paid in the richest country in the world, so they don't have to work 2 jobs just to not still afford rent or groceries. And now, I work in environmental justice.
Great.
Yeah. How long do you have? Because that really gets me going. I'm the communications director for the Sierra Club Virginia chapter. My focus is on, let's just call it what it is, fighting Dominion Energy and fighting big tech right now. Their data centers are a scourge on our neighborhoods, and they put them in neighborhoods of the people who have the least amount of power according to the people in power. And that's the thing. I call myself a reformist Democrat. It's not an official party. It's a brand that I wear proudly because I have seen politics for so long, and I know that I can talk about healthcare, and I want to. I know that I can talk about education, and I plan to, but I don't think that our system set up the current way that it is will allow progress to happen. I think change is stuck in this country, and I think I know why. And it really boils down to not necessarily left versus right, but who has power and who does not.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, Republican, Democrat, everybody in between and outside of that, unless you have a lot of money in this country, you don't feel like you're getting a fair shot. I work with communities all across Virginia, and I have been all across the country, and I can tell you that everyone has a story where something is happening to them that is unfair, and their leaders aren't listening to them. So that's why I have something I call the fair shot agenda, and that's what I'll talk to you about today. Challenging at the systemic level, trying to raise the standard of what we come to expect from our politics. So number 1, and I say this with as much conviction as I have, but also respect for people who come for me, is that if you are not willing to fight big money in politics, you are not willing to fight for everyday families.
That's right.
I cannot, and I will not be convinced otherwise. And I understand that there's some folks who say they can take bad money and use it for good, but I can tell you I'm not worried about them, I'm worried about their colleagues. And so, when you have a healthcare system that can spend $1 billion on lobbying and campaign contributions in one single year, can we really be surprised when our healthcare prices go up and up every year, even before they cancel the subsidies? So, I can talk about Citizens United and how we get rid of them, but unfortunately, we have a Supreme Court dead set on it, and unfortunately, a Republican administration that's not going to appoint people we like. So in the meantime, while we continue to fight that has to be the long game, I have something I call democracy dollars. It's a counterbalance. $500 vouchers per voter per election cycle that they can dole out to any candidate of their choice. So if you see someone speaking at the Henrico Dems, one of the 400 people running for CD1, and you like what they have to say, $25 doesn't cost you anything. It's public financing where you get the choice. In other words, for the first time in our lives, we get to say exactly where our taxpayer money goes. What this does is it doesn't solve the big money in politics problems, but it creates a counterbalance. And if the fight is fair, I truly believe that we win. We win 10 out of 10 times because we know what's at stake. The second point of this is mandatory ethics. Or just ethics. I was at the Triangle Dems. I used to say ethics reform, and someone there said, just call it ethics. Congress doesn't have any right now. I agree. There is no reason that you should be able to have insider trading. There is no reason they should be able to dodge constituents, because we deserve the opportunity to look them in the eye and ask them why they made a controversial decision. Rob Whitman hasn't done a town hall since 2017. I'm very aware of that because my mom was there at his last one. I'm pretty sure she scared him off. And third, I want there to be more transparency. Public transcripts of any corporate lobby meeting that is available to any voter. And at the bottom of that transcript, it says exactly how much they took in the last election from the House. Because we deserve to be empowered with how those meetings are going down and who is influencing the people who don't have to live with the decisions, the consequences of the decisions they're there to make. And then so the number 3 thing, and this is where I'm going to get a little nerdy, it's our tax system. It's completely upside down. Fiscal policy in the United States is a reflection of values. And right now, our system values hard work a hell of a lot less than it values corporate greed. I believe that we need to lower taxes on about 92% of Americans, lowering income tax, lowering payroll tax, and we pay for it by closing by corporate loopholes and taxing greedy billionaires more. I am so tired of us saying we don't have the money for education, we don't have the money for healthcare, we don't have it. We do, and right now we are suffering. 51% of Virginians are going into debt just to afford food. Basic necessity. I know what that's like with my background. I don't know what that's like if I have a kid. So those people need immediate relief, and I don't think this is just a viable solution for relief. I think it's a great political strategy, because then we, as Democrats, can go to the rural parts of this district and say, I am trying to raise your paycheck, and the other side is trying to protect the people who can afford the cuts that they do. Because whenever we're in a moment of crisis, it's always us who has to tighten our belts, suffer worse education, lack of raises for our teachers or our nurses or our public servants or our first responders. But what do they get? A bailout. Another big, beautiful bill that they call when it was just another tax incentive, tax benefit for them. So I don't think it's too much to ask the people we've given bailouts to, millions and billions of dollars of tax subsidies, our taxpayer hard-earned money to, that they pick up the tab for once. So those are my 3. Oh, yeah, I always love it when one person applauds. No, now you're just trying too hard. You don't have to make me feel better. Running for office is hard. It's supposed to be hard. So look, I think that what you're doing right now is the most wonderful thing. I remember being at Historic Triangle Dems when they called all the candidates here and said, this is what we're doing. We're not waiting for a candidate. But there's also something that I think was so profound that you asked, sir. Will you remind me of your name, sir?
Joe Sparks.
Joe Sparks.
Yeah.
We have to give people something to believe in. And it's not enough just to put out the fire that Donald Trump has caused. We have to build something better from the ashes. But I ask you this, especially when it comes to congressional Democrats, what is the vision of the Democratic Party? I don't see any hands up. In every committee that I go to, I never see a hand up. But I've said this before, if someone can answer me that and then I can go somewhere else and then they say the exact same thing, I'll drop out of this race right now. And until we have a vision, we don't have a direction. And until we have a direction, we can't give people a reason to look up and not be disappointed. So this is my vision. Dignity for all. No exceptions. And the way we get there is that the brand of Democrats means we fight for everyone, everywhere, regardless of the odds, and no exceptions. And I know that you're... One more person. I know that you all know how to do that. And I'm looking forward to seeing you accomplish this, and trust me, I think I'd make a great representative, but I will fully support anyone who wins this election, because I can't stand that Rob Whitman guy. He represents everything that's wrong with our politics, and we owe it to be 3 times better than them. Our values will win in rural areas. We can't run away from them. I believe that this country was built by all of us. I'm just running so that our future can be the same. My name is Cywinski. I'll be at the bottom of the ballot, which is fitting because I believe in building things from the ground up.